You drift slowly, almost imperceptibly, toward the edge of a black hole. The universe around you feels different here. Light bends in subtle arcs, and stars shimmer in ways that seem almost liquid, like reflections on a pool disturbed by a gentle breeze. Time stretches, a soft and elastic ribbon, and you notice it not as a measurement, but as a sensation in your chest, in the spaces between breaths. The pull of gravity is present, yet it is not threatening. Instead, it is a quiet invitation, a reminder that the cosmos is alive with forces far beyond your ordinary experience, whispering to you in currents you cannot see. Your eyes trace the paths of photons as they curve, turning what was once straight into delicate loops, shimmering in hues your mind struggles to name. Each ray carries stories of distant stars, of light that began its journey long before you were born, now caught in a gentle orbit around a singular point. You sense the weight of that light, not as heaviness, but as a richness of experience, a collection of moments compressed into glimmering threads. Here, observation itself becomes a meditation. Watching is not passive. It is an active listening, a participation in the universe's slow, deliberate rhythm. You notice the edges of the black hole, the event horizon, which is both a boundary and a mirror. It does not scream or tremble, it does not demand attention. Instead, it exists quietly, a threshold between what is known and what cannot yet be comprehended. As you approach, your mind softens. Questions about size, mass, or even what lies within become less urgent. Instead, the sensation of approaching something utterly profound invites reverence. Your body floats effortlessly, as though held by the gentle curvature of spacetime itself. Each heartbeat seems synchronized with the subtle hum of gravity around you, a resonance felt more than heard, a vibration that belongs simultaneously to you and the cosmos. The stars behind you elongate, stretching into faint trails like silk ribbons drifting across a cosmic loom. You realize that this stretching is not an illusion, but the very fabric of spacetime revealing itself, bending and bowing under the presence of the black hole. It is both humbling and exhilarating to witness. You imagine time here as a slow river, each moment dilated, each second expanded into a soft, luminous wave. Past and future feel more like suggestions than fixed realities, and you become aware of your own perception, your own awareness, as an observer floating in the currents of something much larger than yourself. Light, which normally rushes with relentless speed, now hovers near the edge. Photons teeter, caught between escape and capture. You follow them with gentle curiosity, feeling their energy as a subtle brush against the edges of your consciousness. Even as they bend and twist, they carry the memory of their origin, distant suns and galaxies folded into arcs of brilliance. There is a quiet poetry here, a rhythm in the way matter and energy respond to gravity's embrace. You feel no fear, only fascination, a growing awareness that these forces are neither malevolent nor benevolent. They simply are, and their existence weaves the tapestry of reality around you. Your mind drifts to thought experiments, imagining what it would be like to travel closer, to peer past the horizon without crossing it. You understand that the singularity, the core of the black hole, is a place where known physics ceases to function. Space collapses inward, matter compressed into densities unimaginable, time itself folding into infinitesimal layers. It is a concept too vast to fully grasp, yet thinking of it gently, without urgency, becomes almost comforting. There is beauty in the unknown, in the silent rules that lie beyond observation, in the quiet knowledge that the universe holds secrets meant to inspire or rather than anxiety. As you float, you feel the slow rotation of the black hole. If indeed it spins, the accretion disk of gas and dust glowing faintly in the darkness. Particles spiral inward, following paths dictated by gravity's patient insistence. The motion is graceful, hypnotic, like water circling a slowly draining basin. You sense time stretching further here, not just in your mind, but as a property of the space around you. Seconds elongate into what feels like minutes, minutes into gentle waves of awareness. You notice the absence of urgency, the lack of a need to act, and your breathing slows, falling into rhythm with the cosmic currents. You reflect on light again, The rays curving around the black hole show you that nothing is ever truly lost from observation, only transformed. Paths that seem circular or trapped reveal new perspectives, new possibilities. Even matter that drifts too close becomes part of a larger story, contributing to the quiet energy that radiates, faint yet persistent. You realize that in this gentle observation, the universe itself becomes a mirror. You see the interconnectedness of forces, of matter, of energy and time. Your curiosity softens, no longer a striving but a quiet companionship with the cosmos, an acknowledgement that being present is itself a form of understanding. At the event horizon, the boundary is subtle, almost imperceptible. You sense it not as a line, but as a space, a zone of transition between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Crossing it would mean surrendering to conditions beyond your comprehension. Yet, simply approaching it allows you to feel its influence, to sense the profound elegance of limits. You feel gratitude for the invitation to witness, to float at this edge without fear, and to let the mind wander freely in the possibilities that lie just beyond sight. The stars behind and above you shimmer once more, their lights stretched into arcs of color and shape that seem to pulse with the heartbeat of the universe. You notice patterns in their dance, the quiet mathematics of motion, and feel a gentle awe at the order underlying seeming chaos. Time continues to ripple, space bends, and gravity weaves its invisible thread through all. You feel held, supported, and quietly awed by the simple fact of your presence in this vast, mysterious expanse. Slowly, gently, your attention begins to drift away from the black hole, carrying with it a sense of calm curiosity. You leave the immediate edge, but the memory of the horizon lingers, a soft echo in your mind. Questions remain unanswered, mysteries unresolved, yet they comfort rather than disturb. You understand that wonder is not a state of knowing, but a state of being, an openness to the universe's whispering secrets. In this quiet state, you realize that the journey has just begun. The black hole remains, a sentinel of spacetime, a reminder that there are places in the cosmos where our ordinary senses and expectations dissolve. Yet in approaching it gently, without fear, you have felt the subtle pull of knowledge and imagination intertwined. You carry the sensation with you, a resonance in the chest and mind, a soft rhythm that continues as you drift further into the universe, ready to explore what lies beyond the horizon, where even light bends and time itself becomes a companion to thought. And as your mind hovers between curiosity and calm, you sense that the next horizon, just as inviting, just as unknowable, awaits your quiet exploration. You approach the black hole not with haste, but with a gentle curiosity, letting the universe reveal itself one sensation at a time. The emptiness seems almost tangible here, yet it carries a weight that is impossible to measure in ordinary terms. You feel it not with your hands, not with scales or springs, but with a subtle tug on your awareness, a gentle pressure on the edges of thought. It is the paradox of black holes. Nothing and everything intertwined. Gravity grows steadily as you draw closer, an invisible thread pulling you toward the center. You sense that every atom around you participates in a quiet, ceaseless journey inward. Dust and gas, once free and scattered across light years, now follow invisible lines that curve through the fabric of space itself. You imagine each particle as a small messenger, carrying stories of stars that lived, burned, and died long before your mind could name them. They travel relentlessly, surrendering to a force you cannot see but can feel in the soft rhythm of your own heartbeat. In this space, density and void are partners in a delicate dance. One seems to define the other. The emptiness you observe is not an absence, but a concentration waiting to be understood. You sense that matter, in its collapse, creates something almost ineffable, a gravity so concentrated that it reshapes not just objects, but the very way time and space behave. Even as you float calmly, you imagine how the universe stretches to accommodate such force, bending light and shifting moments in ways your mind can almost, but not entirely, grasp. You linger at the edge, noticing how familiar laws start to feel pliable, soft at the seams. Here, the ordinary becomes unusual, the everyday becomes extraordinary. Space itself seems to fold inward, inviting your thoughts to follow its curves. You feel a profound respect for this compression, for the slow, inevitable pull that reshapes the cosmos without haste. There is no violence here, only persistence. The black hole does not hurry. It waits, patient and consistent, absorbing matter and memory alike. Your mind drifts over the life cycles of stars, picturing giants that exhausted their fuel, collapsing inwards until they became seeds of gravity. Each star's death contributes to this silent, vast architecture, leaving traces in the darkness. You imagine these stories merging, layered upon each other like sediment in a cosmic riverbed. Every particle you pass has a history, a narrative that predates you, predates planets, even predates the light that now reaches your eyes. Yet all of it converges here, in a place where history and destiny are drawn together with quiet inevitability. Time feels different near this immense pull. You notice seconds stretching like a slow tide, moments dilating under the pressure of concentrated gravity. Yet your breathing remains regular, your body calm, as though the universe itself has taught you patience. You learn, in a subtle and intimate way, that immense forces do not demand panic. They invite contemplation, an acknowledgement of scale, an acceptance that some things are simply beyond ordinary comprehension. You let your imagination follow the particles as they spiral inward. Dust grains once part of distant nebulae, remnants of suns long gone, now twist and coil along invisible paths. Each journey is silent, purposeful, beautiful in its inevitability. You feel a connection to this process, not ownership, not control, but a gentle kinship. Here is a rhythm older than Earth, older than your mind, a quiet pulse that continues no matter who observes it. It is a pulse of inevitability, of universal patience. The black hole's pull is not a force of destruction, as stories often suggest. Instead, it is a force of transformation. Matter does not vanish so much as it is reshaped, reorganized into a concentration beyond ordinary experience. You imagine the unseen interior, a place where density becomes supreme, where geometry itself is warped by the concentrated mass. You sense that the concept of here and there loses meaning, replaced by a simple truth. Everything that falls inward is connected in ways you can only hint at with thought and imagination. You reflect on the paradox. Nothing weighs everything. The emptiness around you carries significance because of what it absorbs, what it contains invisibly. In this calm, meditative space, you begin to feel a strange comfort. There is serenity in inevitability, a quiet order in what seems chaotic to the casual eye. Gravity here is not a burden, but a guide, leading matter into patterns that unfold across billions of years. You feel yourself as a witness, floating at the edge of comprehension, neither lost nor afraid, simply aware of scale and depth. As you drift further, you notice that light itself hesitates near the event horizon. Photons, once free, are coaxed into curving paths, circling before surrendering to the inward pull. You imagine tracing their motion with your mind's eye, following arcs and spirals that are invisible to ordinary sight. It is a dance of energy and absence, a delicate choreography that reminds you of the interplay between force and surrender. Even in darkness, there is structure, rhythm, and quiet beauty. You ponder how small your own concerns seem against this cosmic backdrop. The black hole does not hurry or judge. It simply exists, a patient sentinel of mass and gravity. You realize that by observing it calmly, you are participating in a form of quiet understanding, a connection between thought and universe. The weight of almost nothing becomes a lesson. That gravity is not only force, but also invitation, a gentle prompt to expand your awareness, to imagine beyond the familiar. Softly, you consider the ultimate mystery within the singularity, the point where everything collapses and our ordinary measures fail. You do not need to understand it fully. Understanding is secondary to awareness. The black hole's presence teaches you that some truths are best approached with reverence and quiet contemplation. You sense that in this patient, inevitable compression, there is a poetry that can be felt even without words, a rhythm that resonates in the calm spaces of your mind. And as you linger at this edge, letting the pull wash over you without tension, you notice how seamlessly emptiness and mass coexist. The black hole is both absence and presence, weight and void, a cosmic paradox that invites reflection rather than fear. You breathe slowly, letting this rhythm sink into your awareness, carrying a sense of quiet awe. You feel connected to the particles, to the stories they carry, to the inevitability of their inward journey, and to the gentle, unwavering pulse of universal gravity. The weight of almost nothing becomes a gentle companion as you prepare to drift onward, carrying with you the understanding that even emptiness is full of story, motion, and quiet, patient force. In the calm of this realization, your mind is ready to encounter the next layer of cosmic wonder, where light bends, time stretches, and the universe whispers its most subtle rhythms. You drift closer to the black hole, sensing the subtle pull of gravity in every direction. Space itself seems to fold, not violently, but with a quiet insistence, as if the universe has paused to observe. Light here does not travel straight. It bends, curves, and stretches, tracing paths you cannot fully predict. You follow a single photon, imagining it as a traveler caught in a ceaseless spiral, circling an invisible anchor with unwavering patience. As the photon orbits, colors shift around it, softening into shades you do not recognize. Red fades into deep orange, blue bleeds into a muted violet, and each hue seems to carry a whisper of the star it once called home. Time slows in this place. The flow you are accustomed to stretches and contracts, and each movement feels deliberate, measured, unhurried. You breathe along with it, absorbing the rhythm of space itself. Some light escapes briefly, teasing you with glimpses of distant galaxies and starlit skies, only to be pulled back into the black hole's embrace. You notice a rhythm in this capture and release, an unspoken melody that teaches patience. The photon does not struggle. It does not resist. Its path is inevitable, yet it persists with quiet grace. In watching it, you feel a reflection of your own capacity to endure without demanding control, to exist within motion without a destination. The closer you approach the event horizon, the more the world around you distorts. Shadows twist, and familiar shapes elongate and blur. You see the stars bending into arcs, each one a gentle ribbon of light wrapped around invisible mass. In this place, there is no hurry, no pressure, only the delicate dance of light and gravity. You follow another photon, circling endlessly, its journey both infinite and intimate, and you begin to understand that motion can itself be a kind of rest. You reach out with your mind to trace the invisible curves, imagining how a photon from a star long extinguished loops repeatedly, never breaking free, never surrendering entirely. Each orbit is a lesson in persistence, each rotation a meditation on surrender. You realize that even in apparent confinement, there is elegance, purpose, and subtle freedom. Motion without release becomes a soft metaphor for the way the universe teaches patience, endurance, and gentle acceptance. The black hole is not a void of emptiness, but a stage for subtle, persistent light. You notice how shadows fold upon themselves and colors diffuse, creating a spectacle both hypnotic and tender. Even in concealment, light persists, revealing itself in glimpses, in echoes, in curves and loops. You sense the balance between what can be seen and what remains hidden, understanding that knowledge often arrives as suggestion, as soft patterns, rather than certainty. A single photon hovers near the edge, circling countless times. You watch it, almost holding your breath, its path a mirror of your own contemplations. Endless, patient, and quiet. There is no hurry, no fear, only the rhythm of continuation. Its journey becomes a guide, teaching that persistence does not demand arrival, and that surrender can be an act of grace rather than defeat. Time here has a different weight. Seconds stretch into minutes, minutes fold into hours, and yet all feels natural, unforced. You notice the subtle lensing effects as distant stars warp and shimmer, bending into delicate crescents and arcs. These fleeting moments of clarity, like small gifts from the cosmos, remind you that even where light is trapped, beauty persists. Observation becomes meditation. Watching becomes knowing, without words or urgency. Gravity curves the space around you like a gentle sculptor, shaping paths without violence. The photon's endless orbits, caught in this invisible hands, reveal a slow, elegant choreography. You feel a resonance with the universe, a connection to motion that does not end, a rhythm that continues even beyond your perception. In watching the light, you begin to sense your own small part in a grand, patient design. You linger near the spiraling arcs, tracing them with your attention. Each loop becomes a lesson in subtlety, each orbit a quiet story. You imagine floating along with the photons, carried in circles that never resolve, and feel the paradoxical calm of motion without conclusion. It is dizzying, yet soothing, unsettling, yet comforting. The black hole becomes less a danger and more a teacher, showing you the beauty in surrender and the grace in persistence. Light continues its patient spiral, circling without end. You sense that this endless dance mirrors larger rhythms of existence, that motion without arrival is not emptiness but a quiet expression of being. You feel a deep connection to these wandering photons, understanding that in their infinite loops, there is both stability and wonder. You absorb this, letting it settle gently within you, a soft pulse echoing in rhythm with the universe. As you drift away from the edge, the spirals of light linger in your mind, their movement a quiet guide through the unknown. You carry with you the understanding that some paths are not meant to reach a destination but to teach the gentle art of patience, endurance, and surrender. The universe continues its silent dance, inviting you onward, toward horizons not yet glimpsed, mysteries not yet fully revealed. You drift closer to the black hole, sensing the subtle pull of gravity in every direction. Space itself seems to fold, not violently, but with a quiet insistence, as if the universe has paused to observe. Light here does not travel straight. It bends, curves, and stretches, tracing paths you cannot fully predict. You follow a single photon, imagining it as a traveler caught in a ceaseless spiral, circling an invisible anchor with unwavering patience. As the photon orbits, colors shift around it, softening into shades you do not recognize. Red fades into deep orange, blue bleeds into a muted violet, and each hue seems to carry a whisper of the star it once called home. Time slows in this place. The flow you are accustomed to stretches and contracts, and each movement feels deliberate, measured, unhurried. You breathe along with it, absorbing the rhythm of space itself. Some light escapes briefly, teasing you with glimpses of distant galaxies and starlit skies, only to be pulled back into the black hole's embrace. You notice a rhythm in this capture and release, an unspoken melody that teaches patience. The photon does not struggle. It does not resist. Its path is inevitable, yet it persists with quiet grace. In watching it, you feel a reflection of your own capacity to endure without demanding control, to exist within motion without a destination. The closer you approach the event horizon, the more the world around you distorts. Shadows twist, and familiar shapes elongate and blur. You see the stars bending into arcs, each one a gentle ribbon of light wrapped around invisible mass. In this place, there is no hurry, no pressure, only the delicate dance of light and gravity. You follow another photon, circling endlessly, its journey both infinite and intimate, and you begin to understand that motion can itself be a kind of rest. You reach out with your mind to trace the invisible curves, imagining how a photon from a star long extinguished loops repeatedly, never breaking free, never surrendering entirely. Each orbit is a lesson in persistence, each rotation a meditation on surrender. You realize that even in apparent confinement, there is elegance, purpose, and subtle freedom. Motion without release becomes a soft metaphor for the way the universe teaches patience, endurance, and gentle acceptance. The black hole is not a void of emptiness, but a stage for subtle, persistent light. You notice how shadows fold upon themselves and colors diffuse, creating a spectacle both hypnotic and tender. Even in concealment, light persists, revealing itself in glimpses, in echoes, in curves and loops. You sense the balance between what can be seen and what remains hidden, understanding that knowledge often arrives as suggestion, as soft patterns, rather than certainty. A single photon hovers near the edge, circling countless times. You watch it, almost holding your breath, its path a mirror of your own contemplations. Endless, patient, and quiet. There is no hurry, no fear, only the rhythm of continuation. Its journey becomes a guide, teaching that persistence does not demand arrival, and that surrender can be an act of grace rather than defeat. Time here has a different weight. Seconds stretch into minutes, minutes fold into hours, and yet all feels natural, unforced. You notice the subtle lensing effects as distant stars warp and shimmer, bending into delicate crescents and arcs. These fleeting moments of clarity, like small gifts from the cosmos, remind you that even where light is trapped, beauty persists. Observation becomes meditation. Watching becomes knowing, without words or urgency. Gravity curves the space around you like a gentle sculptor, shaping paths without violence. The photon's endless orbits, caught in this invisible hands, reveal a slow, elegant choreography. You feel a resonance with the universe, a connection to motion that does not end, a rhythm that continues even beyond your perception. In watching the light, you begin to sense your own small part in a grand, patient design. You linger near the spiraling arcs, tracing them with your attention. Each loop becomes a lesson in subtlety, each orbit a quiet story. You imagine floating along with the photons, carried in circles that never resolve, and feel the paradoxical calm of motion without conclusion. It is dizzying, yet soothing, unsettling, yet comforting. The black hole becomes less a danger and more a teacher, showing you the beauty in surrender and the grace in persistence. Light continues its patient spiral, circling without end. You sense that this endless dance mirrors larger rhythms of existence, that motion without arrival is not emptiness but a quiet expression of being. You feel a deep connection to these wandering photons, understanding that in their infinite loops, there is both stability and wonder. You absorb this, letting it settle gently within you, a soft pulse echoing in rhythm with the universe. As you drift away from the edge, the spirals of light linger in your mind, their movement a quiet guide through the unknown. You carry with you the understanding that some paths are not meant to reach a destination but to teach the gentle art of patience, endurance, and surrender. The universe continues its silent dance, inviting you onward, toward horizons not yet glimpsed, mysteries not yet fully revealed. You drift closer to the black hole, noticing that the darkness is not empty, but alive with motion. Space itself bends, twists, and swirls, drawn into invisible currents. You feel the subtle pull of rotation, a gentle coaxing of attention, inviting your mind to follow its pattern. It is not loud or urgent, just a whisper, a quiet ripple that you can sense in the edges of thought. The black hole's spin is slow to perceive at first, like a faint vibration beneath a deep hum. As you focus, you begin to see the shapes of movement, spirals of matter and energy circling toward the center, light bending along curved paths, creating patterns that are both mesmerizing and impossible to touch. Each photon seems to dance, caught in choreography dictated by gravity and angular momentum. The universe here is not chaotic. It is deliberate, a rhythm you are learning to feel rather than to see. You consider the meaning of spin. It is not merely motion. It is history written into the fabric of space. Every star, cloud, or fragment that fell into the black hole has left its mark, contributing to a memory that spins silently. You float among these echoes, sensing the enormity of billions of swallowed stories folded into a single rotation. There is humility in this realization, but also a strange comfort, a reminder that even in extremes, the universe preserves its own narrative. Gravity here feels different from anything you have known. It is no longer simply a pull inward. It now sweeps sideways, carrying you along invisible lanes. You drift with it, weightless yet guided, tracing spirals that are impossible on Earth. The motion is gentle, almost nurturing, allowing you to experience the flexibility of the cosmos. Time itself seems to bend, stretching and folding with each curve of space. Your heartbeat synchronizes with the rhythm, a small echo of the vast, slow dance surrounding you. The edges of the black hole shimmer faintly as light is caught and dragged along the spin. Photons circle rapidly, creating arcs of brilliance that are not fully seen but sensed. Even in apparent chaos, there is harmony. The spirals are measured, precise, each rotation an expression of cosmic mathematics. Your mind begins to follow these loops, tracing the paths of invisible dancers, each step a gentle lesson in elegance and balance. You notice the ergosphere, the region where spin dominates, and nothing can remain at rest. Objects caught here are compelled to move, swept along by a force that is neither cruel nor chaotic but inevitable. You imagine yourself floating in this zone, drifting freely, guided by currents that are unseen yet deeply present. It is a place of surrender and trust, where the universe itself seems to teach patience and acceptance. The spinning black hole influences time as much as space. Seconds stretch and ripple, influenced not just by mass but by motion. Each rotation becomes a meditation, an opportunity to feel how physics shapes experience. You close your eyes briefly, sensing the motion in your own body, the subtle resonance of your heartbeat echoing the cosmic rhythm. Awareness and observation merge into quiet understanding. Despite its power, the spin is invisible to direct sight. You perceive it through its effects: the paths of particles, the bending of light, the graceful arcs of glowing matter in the accretion disk. The black hole communicates without words, teaching through motion and consequence. Each swirl of gas, each flicker of light, carries a subtle lesson in how immense forces shape the universe in ways beyond ordinary perception. Time and memory seem to intertwine here. The spin holds echoes of every object the black hole has absorbed, a living archive folded into motion. You imagine billions of stories preserved in these invisible spirals, a cosmic record that stretches back across eons. There is no rush to understand it fully. You are invited simply to be present, floating with awareness in this flowing tapestry. Even in this extreme environment, there is elegance. The mathematics of motion, angular momentum, relativistic effects, are not abstract. They are embodied in the curves and flows you witness. You feel a quiet reverence for the order hidden within what might otherwise appear chaotic. The universe, even in its most powerful extremes, is both beautiful and accessible, offering insight to those who observe with patience and care. You watch as the edges of the black hole influence surrounding space. Stars, gas clouds, and even distant light are subtly nudged, shaped by the silent spin. The black hole does not push or pull with malice. It simply is, and its motion becomes an organizing principle for everything nearby. You trace these gentle effects with your mind, sensing the invisible connections between motion, gravity, and time. Each rotation is a heartbeat, echoing across space, slow and eternal. Your thoughts drift to the stories that spin within this singularity. What has it remembered, and what has been lost? You feel the presence of both preservation and mystery, a balance that encourages reflection rather than certainty. The black hole is a teacher in quiet disguise, inviting contemplation without urgency. You float within its rhythm, feeling the elegance of motion and the depth of cosmic memory. As you begin to move away, the currents of spin leave a lingering sense of presence. You carry the rhythm with you, a soft resonance within your awareness. The black hole has shown you that motion is memory, that spin is storytelling, and that even in the most extreme places, there is beauty, patience, and quiet intelligence. You feel ready to follow the next thread of cosmic exploration, moving from the dance of spin to the subtler effects of time itself. You drift through the quiet expanse, where stars glimmer like distant lanterns and the void stretches endlessly. Here, the darkness is not empty. It hums softly with hidden rhythms. You notice a subtle pulse, a gentle rise and fall in the very fabric of space. These are gravitational waves, the whispers of black holes echoing across the cosmos. They are soft vibrations, delicate enough to pass through galaxies unnoticed, yet carrying the story of immense events far beyond human reach. Somewhere far away, two black holes spiral around one another, locked in an eternal, invisible dance. As they draw closer, their gravity curves the space around them, stretching it, squeezing it, sending ripples outward. You imagine these waves moving like waves in a pond, though the pond is the entire universe, stretching across billions of light years. Each crest and trough is a message, a subtle signal of motion and mass, a story told without sound but with motion itself. You feel the waves as they pass through your awareness. They brush past like the gentlest caress, a vibration that seems to resonate with your own heartbeat. In this sensation, the universe becomes intimate. You realize that vastness does not always mean distance or separation. Sometimes, it is a rhythm you can feel if you slow down enough to notice. These echoes from the abyss are patient. They travel for eons, carrying knowledge across time and space, unhurried and unbroken. Every wave is a record of events too immense to witness directly. You sense the energy of matter colliding, of stars collapsing, of light itself struggling to escape. The waves encode the size and spin of black holes, the violence of their encounters, and yet they arrive with a softness that belies the magnitude of their origin. You reflect on this gentle paradox. The universe can be unimaginably powerful and yet tender, monumental and yet delicate, all at once. You notice the variations in the waves, like breaths of different lengths and intensities. Some stretch lazily, long and languid, carrying the imprint of massive black holes circling slowly. Others pulse rapidly, quick tremors that speak of sudden, energetic collisions. Each carries a unique story, a signature of the cosmic dance that created it. You sense that if you listened closely enough, you could read the history of the universe written in the ripples of spacetime itself. The waves move without obstruction. They pass through stars, planets, and empty voids alike, unaffected by the obstacles that would scatter light. Space itself seems fluid beneath their passage, bending and stretching gently, as though the universe were breathing. You feel that you are not merely an observer but part of this vast symphony. Each wave touches you, a reminder that even across unimaginable distances, you are connected to the cosmos. You begin to imagine standing on the edge of a ripple, feeling it brush past you. The sensation is calm, almost meditative, like water lapping softly at a quiet shore. The motion does not overwhelm, it invites. It reminds you that even events of unimaginable force and scale can send their messages gently. You sense that the universe communicates in ways that transcend human understanding, using subtlety rather than spectacle to convey its secrets. As you follow a wave outward, you notice how it interacts with others. They overlap and intertwine, forming a tapestry of motion, a pattern of cosmic whispers that fills the void with quiet complexity. You feel that this is a language, spoken not with words but with motion, a rhythm that carries information about events and objects too distant and massive to see. Each vibration is a line, each sequence a story, each passage an echo of creation and destruction intertwined. In this awareness you sense patience. Gravitational waves do not hurry. They drift through the cosmos, unbound by time as we understand it, a steady reminder of continuity and persistence. You imagine listening to them for a lifetime, tracing their patterns, feeling their gentle undulations, and discovering that they never truly end. They persist, even as stars burn out and galaxies drift apart, leaving traces of moments that once were, echoing endlessly. You feel a quiet reverence for the power and delicacy of these waves. Black holes, enigmatic and formidable, communicate through them, leaving traces of their immense influence across the universe. And you understand that silence is not absence. It is a medium for subtle messages, a space in which the universe can speak without interruption. You are drawn into this understanding, floating with the echoes, letting the vibrations carry you gently onward. And as the waves recede into the distance, you carry their memory with you. You feel the soft pulse lingering in your chest, a reminder that even in emptiness, there is motion, and even in darkness, there is communication. The abyss has spoken, and its echoes are now a part of your awareness. You sense that this is only one chapter of the universe's conversation, a prelude to the deeper currents of motion, time, and gravity yet to explore. You drift slowly toward the singularity, the innermost heart of the black hole, where the laws of space and time compress into a single, unimaginable point. Here, gravity is absolute, pulling everything into its quiet embrace. It is not force as you know it, but a presence that molds reality itself. You feel it as a subtle tug on your awareness, a gentle reminder that every particle, every photon, every ripple of energy ultimately answers to this invisible center. Time behaves in ways your mind cannot measure. Seconds stretch into long, pliable threads, then collapse into a moment so small it is almost nothing. You notice your own perception bending, expanding, and contracting as if it, too, were subject to the singularity's rules. In this quiet suspension, you sense the singularity not as a danger, but as a profound threshold. A point where understanding reaches its limits, yet curiosity can roam freely. Light here dances differently. Photons curve in invisible arcs, spiraling endlessly around the singularity. You follow their motion, tracing luminous pathways that seem to defy every expectation of straightness or distance. It is a cosmic choreography, a delicate weaving of energy and gravity. Each photon carries a story, a history of stars and galaxies that existed before your own moment of consciousness. You feel humbled by the beauty of such precision, so immense yet so intimately structured. You attempt to picture the singularity in your mind, but every image falls short. It is too small to see, yet contains everything. It is too dense to touch, yet exerts its influence across vast stretches of space. And then you realize, the singularity is not meant to be seen or touched. Its existence is felt in patterns, in curvature, in the bending of light and time. It is an idea made tangible only through its effects, a profound reminder of the limits of comprehension. As you float closer, the gravity stretches your sense of space. Nearby clouds of matter spiral inward, heating as they accelerate, glowing faintly in a final luminous gesture before succumbing entirely. You watch these formations, noticing the elegance in their destruction. Even as individual atoms are torn apart and recombined, there is order, spirals within spirals, each curve dictated by the singularity's inexorable pull. Here, endings are quiet, precise, and strangely beautiful. You listen to the silence, and in that silence you sense vibrations, not sounds in the conventional sense, but ripples in the fabric of spacetime itself. Gravitational waves emanate outward, subtle yet persistent. They carry the echoes of matter's journey inward, a cosmic heartbeat that spans galaxies. You imagine yourself riding one of these waves, feeling the pulse of the universe as a gentle rhythm, each undulation a reminder of the deep interconnectedness of all things. Matter approaching the singularity undergoes transformation. Particles lose their individuality, merging into the geometry of space itself. Entire fragments of stars, once separate and distinct, become part of the singularity's essence. And yet, in this seeming annihilation, there is a quiet creation. Patterns emerge, relationships endure, and the universe maintains an intricate balance. You perceive a strange elegance in this inevitability, an order that persists even in the final stages of collapse. Your own thoughts mirror this motion. Curiosity stretches outward, wrapping around questions that cannot be answered fully. What does it mean for a point to contain such density, such extremes of space and time? How can all matter converge without ceasing to exist? These questions hover gently in your mind, not pressing, not urgent. You realize that some truths exist only in the act of wondering, in the slow, patient observation of what is beyond comprehension. Time near the singularity is both fluid and suspended. Seconds lengthen, then compress, creating a rhythm that is unlike anything you have experienced elsewhere. You notice the sensation in your body, not a heartbeat, but something deeper, a cadence that resonates with the universe itself. It is the slow inhalation and exhalation of existence, a pattern that continues even as matter is reshaped and light curves endlessly around the core. Space, too, bends in ways that challenge understanding. Dimensions fold upon themselves, creating a labyrinth of directions where forward and backward lose conventional meaning. You sense that the singularity is not simply a point, but a nexus, a fulcrum around which reality pivots. Perspective here is a fluid concept, and comprehension requires humility. You let your mind rest in this pliable space, embracing uncertainty as a companion rather than a barrier. You float among trails of matter and light, observing the final transformations as they approach the core. The singularity itself remains invisible, yet its presence is undeniable, shaping everything with quiet inevitability. You sense the immensity contained within this infinitesimal point, a paradox that humbles and inspires. Each spiral, each curve, each distortion of light speaks of the careful balance that allows existence to persist at the edges of understanding. The edges of the event horizon shimmer faintly, marking the boundary between the known and the unknowable. To cross it is not to step, but to conceptually surrender to a domain where familiar rules dissolve. You hover here, aware that your journey has brought you close, yet that the singularity itself remains beyond grasp. It is a limit, not a threat, an invitation to approach with curiosity and respect. You pause, letting the weight of this realization sink gently into your consciousness. There is no need for answers, no urgency to resolve the paradox. The singularity communicates through depth, resonance, and the bending of reality itself. You feel the pulse of the universe in quiet reverence, noticing how the concentration of all things into a single point carries both simplicity and infinite complexity. As you drift outward, back toward regions where space-time resumes its more familiar rhythms, you carry the quiet lesson of the singularity with you. Its presence lingers in your awareness, a reminder that curiosity and wonder can persist even at the limits of comprehension. You sense continuity, that the flow of energy, light, and matter continues beyond what you can see, connecting everything in subtle, elegant patterns. You leave the singularity behind, yet it has left its imprint. Your mind opens to the broader cosmos once more, where light twists gently, matter flows in graceful arcs, and time stretches in quiet rhythm. You feel prepared to continue your journey, following the pulse of the universe as it leads you toward the next horizon, the next mystery waiting just beyond perception. You drift slowly along the edge of a black hole, where the light bends in soft, impossible curves. Around you, cosmic matter moves in quiet, hypnotic spirals, tracing paths that have existed for millions of years. Tiny clouds of gas shimmer with the faint glow of distant starlight, illuminated only for a brief moment as they tumble inward. Each particle seems to perform a graceful, deliberate dance, guided by forces you cannot see but can deeply sense. As you watch, fragments of dust and gas approach the black hole, spinning faster as they near the invisible horizon. Their luminescence brightens, a fleeting farewell to the universe they are leaving. It is neither sudden nor harsh. It is a calm, natural transition. You feel a gentle resonance in your body, as if the very rhythm of space-time pulses in quiet correspondence with this cosmic flow. The darkness is not empty. It is alive with the history and energy of all that has come before. You follow a streak of glowing matter, tracing its journey as it curls inward. The spiral tightens, wrapping around the unseen center, creating luminous arcs that shimmer like fine threads of light. You sense a serene inevitability in every motion. Nothing resists the pull. Every particle surrenders to the gravitational embrace. Yet in that surrender, there is beauty, a soft testimony to the cosmic order, a reminder that transformation is neither cruel nor abrupt. It is simply the universe unfolding as it must. The black hole does not consume in anger or haste. It absorbs quietly, steadily, as a forest accepts falling leaves or a river swallows the snow of winter. You feel your mind settling into this rhythm, attuning to the slow, inevitable cadence of gravity and light. Every spiral, every glimmer of matter, is a story reaching its conclusion, and yet in that conclusion, there is the quiet promise of continuity. Nothing disappears entirely. Energy is merely transformed, feeding the darkness that holds possibility in its depths. Gas clouds swirl around the event horizon like luminous ribbons, brushing past each other with a delicate, almost musical grace. You notice how light stretches, bends, and flickers as it nears the threshold, revealing the invisible contours of space-time. You feel a sense of awe in recognizing the scale of this quiet process, understanding that the black hole is both devourer and sustainer, a point of stillness where endings fold seamlessly into beginnings. The darkness gathers what was, holding it in patient anticipation of what may emerge elsewhere in the universe. Your eyes follow a glowing filament as it arcs toward the event horizon. It is a journey measured in eons, yet you perceive it as a single, flowing moment. The light wraps around itself, tracing the curvature of space like ink on water, and then, just as softly, it fades. You sense not loss but completion. The particle has fulfilled its role in the cosmic cycle, contributing to the balance of matter and energy. The black hole is not empty. It is full of memory, of matter collected and transformed, feeding the unseen depths that underpin the universe's harmony. You drift closer to the spiraling accretion, feeling the subtle warmth of energy radiating from near the edge. The luminous material flickers and pulses as it moves, like a heartbeat you can almost hear in the quiet. Each glowing trace marks a story, a particle's journey from distant star to final resting place. You feel connected to this rhythm, as if your own awareness is woven into the spiral, part of the gentle choreography that spans light years. The universe whispers its patience, reminding you that all transformations are gradual, deliberate, and profound. Around you, the cosmic ballet continues. Streams of gas wrap in arcs, threading through invisible currents, while stellar winds bend gently under the influence of gravity. The interplay of light and shadow is mesmerizing. You notice subtle reflections and glimmers that hint at the energies locked within, energies that will one day radiate elsewhere, perhaps seeding new stars, planets, or even life itself. You feel a profound stillness in witnessing this invisible exchange, a sense that the black hole's consumption is also a quiet generosity, a transformation that perpetuates the vast cycles of the cosmos. You imagine each fragment's last luminous moment as a kind of celebration. The glow is not a cry of distress, but a soft acknowledgement, a final note of beauty in a story that stretches across the galaxy. The black hole patiently waits, accepting all that comes near, turning endings into the foundation of balance. You sense that feeding the darkness is not mere destruction. It is a necessary act of cosmic maintenance, a dance that preserves harmony while nurturing potential. As you drift in the silent current, time itself feels altered. Moments stretch and fold, echoing the spirals you see before you. You feel the gentle tug of gravity not as a force of fear, but as a guide, leading you to deeper understanding of cycles, of transformation, and of the delicate equilibrium that defines existence. There is a lesson in this quiet rhythm. Endings are simply transitions, feeding something greater, something unseen yet essential to the continuity of all things. The light of the spiraling matter gradually dims, fading into the darkness beyond the horizon. You notice that the black hole does not vanish. It remains as a space of collected energy, holding everything that has been surrendered. You feel the subtle pulse of this accumulation, a hidden reservoir of potential. Even in the stillness, the universe is alive with quiet processes, with energies swirling and shifting in ways you can sense but not fully measure. This darkness is fertile, receptive, patient. Your attention softens as you float amidst the diminishing glow. You sense the vast scope of this gentle feeding, the immense scale of time and energy that underpins it. You feel a resonance in your mind, a calm awareness that even in moments of disappearance, matter and energy persist, cycling endlessly through the universe. The black hole, far from being a void, is a conduit, a keeper of continuity, a space where light, matter, and memory are transformed into new possibilities. And as you linger in this space, a subtle thought rises, that even in apparent emptiness, there is profound purpose. The darkness gathers what has been, patiently holding it, preparing it to feed future stars, planets, and stories yet to unfold. You sense that this quiet consumption is a foundation for creation, a gentle act of cosmic balance that hums softly in the background of all existence. You drift near the boundary of a black hole, where darkness is thick but not absolute. The horizon stretches before you, a gentle curve that marks the edge of what can be known. It does not roar. It does not demand attention. It simply exists, a vast presence that pulls at the fabric of space, bending reality with silent authority. You notice tiny flickers of light, the faintest escape of energy, and you lean closer to witness the subtleties. This is Hawking radiation, named after the physicist who imagined that even the densest void could whisper. Quantum fluctuations create pairs of particles at the edge of the black hole. One falls inward, swallowed by gravity, while the other drifts outward, a fragile messenger. Each particle that escapes is a faint sigh of the cosmos, a reminder that nothing is entirely trapped, that even in disappearance there can be expression. You feel the rhythm of this subtle exhalation, soft and continuous, like the quiet breathing of the universe. The black hole, so often thought of as a devourer, is also a teacher. In its silence, you learn patience. In its quiet leakage, you discover that endings are rarely absolute. Energy that was thought lost finds a way to persist, even if only in whispers. You imagine countless photons, escaping one by one, carrying traces of what once was. They are tiny fragments of light, fragile as gossamer, each a story that passes through the void to touch the edge of your awareness. Time feels different here. Seconds stretch like elastic, drawn thin by the immense gravity. Your own pulse slows, syncing with the soft rhythm of emergence and disappearance. You watch particles fade into the blackness, while others appear in fleeting luminescence, and you sense a pattern not of chaos, but of balance. The black hole is a mediator between extremes, a boundary where the known and the unknowable meet, where presence and absence converse in a gentle, unspoken dialogue. You consider the duality at play. One particle is captured forever. Its twin escapes. The black hole both confines and releases, swallows and whispers. You feel the elegance of this dance, the quiet precision of a universe that operates beyond fear or urgency. Even in the densest darkness, there is a trace of light. Even in absolute gravity, there is a voice. You sense that Hawking radiation is not just a scientific phenomenon, but a lesson in subtle persistence, a reminder that even the most secretive corners of reality have a way of speaking. As you drift closer, you notice how space itself seems to bend around you. Light curves, stretching into arcs that shimmer like liquid silver. You imagine a photon born at the edge, teetering between confinement and freedom, and you feel empathy for its precarious journey. Every escape, however tiny, is an act of defiance against the absolute pull of gravity, a quiet assertion that energy seeks a way, even in the most extreme conditions. You realize that the black hole is not simply an endpoint, but a stage where transformation is constant, subtle, and necessary. Your thoughts flow gently with the pattern of emission and disappearance. You feel connected to the process, as if your mind, too, participates in this cycle of quiet giving and taking. The black hole is both final and ongoing. It swallows, but it also lets go. The universe, in this dance, teaches a profound lesson. That endings are not always erasure, that presence can emerge from the most unlikely places, and that every act of disappearance carries the potential for renewal. You imagine the history contained here. Stars that lived and died, matter that spiraled inward, and now faint signals of that existence drift outward. Each particle carries memory, evidence that nothing is entirely erased. You sense that time and space themselves are witnesses to this quiet transmission. The black hole's whisper is more than radiation. It is continuity, a subtle thread connecting creation and dissolution. It is a hum that you feel in the depths of your awareness, a calm vibration that resonates with the pulse of the cosmos. In the glow of Hawking radiation, you find clarity. The black hole, so often described as a void, is not empty. It is a crucible of subtle energy, a place where disappearance gives rise to faint illumination. You feel the beauty in this paradox, the gentle logic of a universe that balances extremes. Light and dark, capture and release, silence and whisper. Each plays its role in a choreography older than any star, a rhythm that persists beyond human measurement. Your mind drifts with the particles, following their paths outward, into the vast expanse of space. Each one carries the memory of what it left behind, and in that memory you find a quiet reassurance. Even in the densest regions, There is communication, subtle and patient. The black hole does not scream, but it does speak. Its messages are faint, yet persistent, a gentle cadence that invites listening, reflection, and wonder. You feel a sense of reverence, not fear, for this immense presence. The black hole is a paradox. Devourer and giver, silence and voice, ending and beginning. Hawking's whisper reminds you that even the densest mystery is not mute, that even in absolute gravity, there is a breath, a trace, a story. You let your awareness expand into that quiet space, feeling the subtle pulse of energy that transcends what can be seen or measured. And as you float at the edge, listening to the faint glow of emitted particles, you realize that understanding does not require grasping everything. There is peace in observing, in allowing the gentle exhalation of the universe to touch your consciousness. The black hole's whisper becomes a meditation, a bridge between curiosity and calm, between the vast unknown and your own reflective mind. You move slowly, leaving behind the intense gravity that once held you captive. The black hole's pull fades like a whisper, a memory of immense force now softening into a gentle echo. Your body, freed from the tug of invisible currents, feels weightless yet profoundly aware, floating in the quiet vastness where time and space themselves seem to breathe. You sense the contrast between presence and absence, between the tangible tug of mass and the intangible stretch of void, and it fills you with a tender awe. Around you, stars continue their patient glimmer, distant fires suspended in the inky darkness. They are no longer distorted by the warping of space, no longer drawn into spiraling orbits of inevitable descent. Light travels straight, unhindered, yet the memory of its previous twists lingers in your mind. You imagine photons bending and twisting at the edge of a gravity well, their paths curving in silent arcs before surrendering to the black hole's depths. And even as you drift beyond, you carry their journey with you, an invisible story etched into your awareness. The emptiness you perceive is not mere nothingness. It is a vast canvas, a field for reflection, a space where the mind can stretch beyond ordinary limits. Here, the concepts of mass, energy, and motion reveal themselves in their simplest form. You feel the elegance of balance, the quiet dialogue between the forces that shape the cosmos. Gravity, once an overwhelming presence, now feels like a gentle teacher, showing you the subtle ways matter interacts across unimaginable distances. As you move further into the dark, time itself seems to expand. There is no urgency, no rush to reach a destination. Seconds stretch into minutes, minutes into a flowing continuum that wraps around your thoughts like a soft cloak. You notice that near the black hole, time had slowed, stretching moments into seemingly eternal instants. And now, far from its grasp, time flows freely, yet you carry with you the memory of that elongation. Each heartbeat, each inhalation, is a reminder of how relative and delicate the rhythm of existence truly is. The invisible currents of space, once powerful and inescapable, have left their subtle marks. You sense the residue of gravitational waves, ripples moving outward from unseen events, carrying whispers from distant mergers of stars and black holes. These echoes vibrate through the fabric of reality, and you feel them as a soft, imperceptible hum beneath your awareness. Even in the emptiness, there is motion. Even in what cannot be seen, there is presence. The universe continues its quiet orchestration, and you are part of that symphony, an observer and participant entwined in the same unfolding. You recall the lessons learned from observing matter spiraling inward, from watching light struggle against the immense gravity, from feeling time stretch and fold in ways beyond daily experience. Each lesson leaves a gentle imprint, a new understanding of the interplay between the visible and invisible. You recognize that knowing is not merely seeing, and that comprehension often requires attuning to what cannot be directly observed. The cosmos teaches patience, observation, and humility, showing that even the densest, most unfathomable regions are bound by a quiet order. Your mind begins to wander, imagining the paths of particles and waves as they drift unbound, tracing trajectories across the vast emptiness. You envision clouds of dust, remnants of stars long gone, carried along by gentle currents. You sense the energy that permeates even the void, subtle and diffuse, yet shaping the universe in ways both profound and delicate. And in this meditation, you understand that the invisible is as essential as the visible. It frames your perception, structures your understanding, and fills your thoughts with a gentle curiosity that will linger long after the journey ends. As you float, you notice the interplay of light and darkness around you. The faint glow of distant galaxies, barely perceptible, reminds you of the vast scales involved. Every point of light is a story, every shadow a mystery. And between them, the darkness is not merely absence, but a field of possibility, a silent teacher that encourages contemplation. You realize that much of what shapes your understanding of the universe exists beyond direct perception. It is the gravity you cannot see, the waves you cannot feel, the stretches of space and time that escape ordinary senses, all of it forming a coherent, beautiful tapestry. Your awareness expands beyond personal experience, encompassing the patterns and cycles of matter and energy across cosmic scales. You sense the rhythm of galaxies spinning, of stars being born and dying, of black holes feeding and releasing whispers of radiation. Each process carries a quiet dignity, an order that is at once invisible and profound. You feel the interconnectedness of all things, the delicate balance that governs motion, energy, and time. It is a balance you cannot touch, but one you understand intuitively through observation and reflection. Drifting further, the memory of the black hole's immense pull becomes a guide rather than a constraint. It taught you about limits, about the edge between what can be known and what cannot. You carry the echo of its gravity as a gentle reminder that the universe holds forces and truths beyond immediate comprehension. And yet, this knowledge is not frightening. It is liberating. It shows you that the cosmos is not a place to conquer, but to observe, to experience, and to learn from. A space where your mind can expand in tandem with the vastness around you. The sensation of motion continues, though there is no destination, no final boundary. You drift, absorbed in the gentle swell of cosmic understanding, feeling both the immensity of space and the intimacy of awareness. The lessons of gravity, light, and time remain close, forming a soft constellation in your consciousness. You carry them as quietly as a breath, and they shape your thoughts, inviting reflection on the impermanence, beauty, and subtlety of existence. In this infinite stretch, you notice a stillness that is alive with potential. It is a quiet kind of knowing, one that does not demand answers yet offers insight. You understand that the invisible forces around you, the currents of gravity and waves of energy, are not absent merely because they cannot be seen. They are present in subtle ways, guiding motion, shaping space, and whispering the universe's deeper truths. In embracing this, your mind opens further, attuned to the balance between presence and absence, light and shadow, known and unknown. You linger in this state, neither arriving nor departing, carried on the gentle flow of thought and awareness. The pull of the black hole is behind you, yet its lessons remain, a quiet anchor for understanding. The vast darkness stretches endlessly, inviting you to continue observing, reflecting, and marveling at the intricate dance of cosmic forces. Every ripple, every shadow, every glimmer of light is a story, part of a universe that is comprehensible yet still mysterious. And as you drift ever outward, a soft realization settles within. What cannot be seen is not nothing. It is form and structure, motion and memory, influence and whisper, shaping every corner of existence. Your place in this vastness feels small, yet connected, intimate with the rhythm of the cosmos. You sense that the journey of understanding is never truly complete, for each insight opens new vistas of wonder, and each quiet observation invites another question. And so you continue, floating beyond what is visible, beyond the grasp of gravity, beyond the limits of perception, carrying with you the gentle, profound awareness that the invisible is just as real, just as powerful, and just as beautiful as what the eyes can behold.